Boy, I've been all right. I've been good. We gonna get this thing started though. Let me see if I can remind some of the Solon people real quick. But how you been? How are you?
Good, man. I'm off this week for Thanksgiving, so I just been chilling out.
Right, right, right.
Light, none too heavy.
Mm-hmm. And where are you located?
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, you're in Chicago. Okay. I'm in Philly. All right. Cool, cool, cool. So you tell me. I mean, this is obviously so I didn't want to approach this on the wrong foot. I know we led on the wrong foot a little bit maybe, but I was just really just poking at you. Do you understand what a $5 African is though?
Yeah, yeah. You know.
So
And being on this app, I done heard it all.
you heard it all. I don't know if I should start with what Pan African means to you, or should I start off with your background? Well, what does Pan African mean to you? What is Pan Africanism?
Well, let me start here. I kind of got pushed into being a Pan African. I never, upon coming on this app, I never proclaimed to be a Pan African.
Oh, okay.
Uh, People just sort of like, you know how this app goes. Um, However, the idea of it, from my research, Pan Africanism is basically, solidarity with people of African descent around the globe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean well, and you had a few scholars, right? You had W.E.B. Du Bois, you had
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Garvey's, and a few others who said maybe we should just go back to Africa. Well, of course, this is in the 1930s, uh, so a lot is going on at that time, right? The obvious, uh, but essentially, it's literally when you look at it, uh, just solidarity with African people around the world. That doesn't mean, I go and throw my full support around a country in Africa and just work with them and pour resources, but it means I'm doing my work over here in the United States in my community, you doing yours, and I support you, you support me. That's what it means to me, right? And I think so when I'm having these conversations, I always ask people, well, what is Pan Africanism? Because I think we have people who don't really understand what it is, what the real definition of Pan Africanism is.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, the question that a lot of Black Americans or Solon have for Pan Africans is, well, why aren't you in Africa doing any of these initiatives?
Well, see, that's the thing too, right? Why would I go work uh to do whatever, whether it's restore, build up Africa when I can be doing the same thing here in my community? We have a whole lot of work to do here. And our differences. You're from Philly, I'm from Chicago. So we both know we have a lot of work to do here. So I just
Hmm.
don't think it makes much sense to try to go fix somewhere else when where we are right now needs fixing. And I think people get
Hmm.
those two things conflated because that's not the same thing. That's not even what Pan Africanism is. It doesn't say go fix Africa or wherever you live at, go fix Africa and leave uh where you are in turmoil. That doesn't even make sense. So I
Hmm.
think a lot of people get that mixed.
Who would you say is at the leading front of Pan Africanism as far as a tribe of people? Deshaun, you heard me.
Sorry, say that one more time.
I wanted to ask the question: who would you say is leading the charge for Pan Africanism as far as a tribal people?
But I don't think we really have a leader, and that's been my concern too, right? Or well, some people say, well, you can have different people who lead. You lead over there, you lead here, you lead. I don't think there's an actual leader when you look at the framework and how it was created. You have many people of African descent around the globe where they would just come together, they would meet and say, okay, we're going back to fix, where we live. So I don't think right now we have a quote unquote leader, so to speak. I mean, you have the scholars, but no, I don't think we have a leader.
Well, I mean, I don't really mean a single individual. I mean more so a group of people. What group of people, what ethnic group of people would you say is leading the charge of Pan Africanism? Is it the Ghanaians? Is it the Nigerians? Is it
Well,
who
that's
is
what
it?
I'm saying. When you look at it, it's people all around the globe. You have different people. You'll have some people, some Pan Africans from Ghana. You'll have some Pan Africans from wherever. Then you have some Pan Africans from the United States. And then
Mm.
what they'll do is they'll all come together. I think they just had a meeting this year. I think it was in France. They'll go and they'll meet and then they'll come back. So I don't think it's just a one person. It's a movement, right? So when you talk about a movement, I don't think it's less necessarily a leader. It's a movement.
No one's really pushing for Pan Africanism the way Black Americans are. So that's what I was trying to see who else, as far as an other group of people, especially continental Africans, who would be pushing Pan Africanism to some degree. I mean, I think the best Pan African to me is Shaka Bars, because he's not only doing some great work, he's out there in Ghana. He is, he's building schools and whatnot. He's pushing Pan Africanism. The problem, though, is that um, I don't think everybody else that he's hoping to help is on the same sphere as him, as far as a collective. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean that's with any movement, right? You would like to see it at its full flourishing, but I mean that's life. You won't get everybody on board. And I would be telling a lie if I say all Black Americans, you know, support the ideology of Pan Africanism. That's a lie, right? But you do have people who do. Do we know a definite number? Probably not, right? But it is what it is. It's literally an idea, right? I like the idea of that, unifying around the globe. But again, like I told you in the beginning, that doesn't stop the work that I do here in Chicago. It's a lot of shit that I can be doing right here in this city alone. So I don't even have time to to go work in the nearby suburbs, do work out there because there's work to be done here. And I think a lot of people have a misconception with that you go and work and pour your resources into somewhere else when your own backyard is on fire. I don't think that's a good idea. That doesn't even make sense. But I think it's the whole idea of, unifying.
Oh, it's just as simple as the idea of wanting a global Black
Yeah.
success story.
And absolutely. And again, when you really go and look at some of the Pan African scholars, they talked about, dismantling, global white supremacy, right? And being in solidarity and being one and supporting each other. Hell, we do that with our families. We do that with families who we're not necessarily, akin to, right? In our own communities here in the United States. I support you, you support me. That's where, supporting Black owned businesses and doing this and giving your money when you can and, helping people in need. That's how I look at it. And that's how I understood when I read, when I, researched what it really meant. Because again, I told you, when I got on this app, people literally just assumed that I was a Pan African
because of the people who I ran with on the app or frequent with. That wasn't necessarily true. So,
You still there? Deshaun, you still there?
but okay. But yeah, so as I understood it, when you read it, and again, I told you in the when you read some of those scholars like W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, they said, okay, now uh, we want black people, well, the Negro, as Marcus Garvey called us, the Negro should go back to Africa and start, our own little, ways of living there. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that now because I'm going to ask you, if you say that to me now, I'm going to ask you, well, how are you going to get 40 plus million people over to Africa right now? That's not even possible. You want people to totally upend, their lifestyles to go to a whole nother continent and country. That's not even possible, right? And so this is why I tell people, see, you're making a big mistake with me because you assume a whole lot of things that I don't even consider myself a Pan-Africanism. I support and like the idea of it, but it's a whole lot of shit that go into that, right? And so, but for me, and I know I do a lot of posting. This Twitter, but when you really, just look at the shit, some things you agree with, and some things you don't agree with. It just is what it is.
Oh, so you're not a Pan African.
No, I never proclaimed to be one. I told you they kind of like pushed me in that corner upon getting on the app. So I just doubled down on it and ran with it.
So why you got me lying to my audience? I had them thinking you were a Pan African.
Well, well, I support the idea of it.
Okay, well, this is the
See,
thing too, because I actually support the idea of a global black success story. The problem is, do you not see the problem with flat blackness?
wait, say that one more time.
Do you or do you not see the problem with flat blackness?
No, I don't, and I don't for specific, bother me. We got a lot of shit that we need to deal with. So arguing on this app about who's for me, this ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. But for me, arguing back and forth about who's black or not is not going to do us any good. It's not going to progress us
I
anywhere
agree.
because we losing ground when we talking about that. And you will see that's the conversation on this app. Who's black? And now we're trying to abolish race. Now that's the new thing. Hey, we're gonna just abolish race. So we losing ground when we can be doing other things to help progress us.
Now, who's we?
Black Americans here in the United States.
Okay, you don't see the problem with flat blackness, but you're saying a lot of we. You don't
What?
identify any
What?
problem with
Go ahead.
you don't identify any problem with flat blackness at all
I,
as a general umbrella term that is encapsulated under where we live in our history and our ethnic and our land and what we built here, and then you also say we and it's specific to black Americans.
yeah, I don't because
You don't.
when you understand, I feel like we're losing time doing that.
It's
It's
not
how
about
I grew
time,
up,
it's
right?
about identifying. Oh, go
I
ahead.
grew up in a very Afrocentric, but eventually I'm like, damn, we have our different cultures. We have our different ways of living here in the United States. Us black people, I'm talking about black Americans now. I know that now. I know what we contributed to this country. But when you talk about flat blackness, I don't see a problem with that. I don't need to disparage the black people in Great Britain. I don't need to disparage the black Caribbeans. That's just not something that I ever did. Because again, I grew up in a heavy Afrocentric or what one will call it Pan African culture. So I'm learning all of these things. So I don't see a problem with it. But if you can tell me what your problem is with it, then maybe I can try to understand where you're coming from with the flat blackness.
Well, that's the thing about Black Americans, right? We, as a culture, never gave a damn about what every other person was doing, whether they were African, Ghanaian, Nigerian, Jamaican, Puerto Rican. We see all of their parades, we see all of their flags. We didn't give a flying F about none of that stuff up until more recently around 2019, 2020. We started to see a shift because we started to recognize um, what it was doing to us culturally. More specifically, it was around that same time where what was the app called? Why can't I think of the name? Because I don't even use it no more. Fuck it, I can't remember the name of the app. But yeah, a lot of Africans were going on there and degrading Black Americans religiously. I would see it sometimes when I used to go in there, and I just didn't give a damn. Oh wait, I lost him. Hold on. And I just didn't. We just didn't give a damn that much because we just have a careless mentality for the most part. We kind of just let people do what they do. We didn't really give a damn about, if you wanted to celebrate your flag and your country, it just was what it was. It just we didn't care. But for some reason, when we celebrate us, why is there so much care? Why is there so much angst and animosity? I can't celebrate myself as a Black American. I can't fly the Black American heritage flag. I can't fly the American flag without a bunch of people down my throat about how evil or imperialistic or capitalistic or how big of a dictatorship my flag holds. When in actuality, when we're looking at it from a perspective, a truthful perspective, we're talking about a flag of people who have gone through the same damn thing and are currently going through the same damn thing with dictatorship and imperialism and capitalism and what have you. That's the only reason why they even came here in the first place to America, to escape that. So to tell me and the place where I built, where my ancestors have been buried, and where we built and have been here for probably thousands of years, and to say that we can't even show pride and honor where we live is a slap in the face, right? That's just one under a plethora of them, right? So then we're hit with um, a bunch of foreigners in our political sphere. No problem with that until there is situations where we could or should be benefiting from the very policies and amendments in which we fought for that were specifically really supposed to be for us. But since we're so giving, it was just we wanted to extend that offer. We never gave a damn about it also being extended to anybody else. We never fought against that for years. We just kind of just let that be. You were under the umbrella of minority. You were under the umbrella of blackness, and you were able to benefit from everything that the civil rights movement has afforded to you, and everything before that. Then you come here and you pretend that we have no culture, that everything was handed to us, or that white people gave us our freedom. We didn't fight for our own freedom. The civil rights movement is almost as if it's just for everybody. We are for the streets, basically. We're for everybody, and we don't like that mentality, especially when I can look up tomorrow or right now that there are Haitian specific scholarships or Nigerian specific churches or Puerto Rican specific this. We don't have that, but yet y'all are benefiting off of us. You're putting in positions where we are held to a standard to be managers of you and then teach you to be in our position and then teach you to be in our position to manage. And then what are you doing after that? You are gatekeeping the position I gave you for your own lineage. My grandmother and my mom have been talking about that for a while. They're in the healthcare industry, and they've been for a long time talking about how they'll be putting these foreigners in positions, and then the foreigners thereafter will only hire other foreigners in industries in which they don't even own. They're just doing that out of pure management and angst. So we have to recognize how much this is a hindrance on us. So that's just a few examples that I can point out. I'm sure there's more as well. What do you think about that?
Well, you gotta. So a lot of people don't know. I got on this app kind of late, later than everybody. I know it was people were coming from Clubhouse, and then they came here. So I've got on this app at least. Well, not on the app. I came to Spaces on
Oh, that's what it was, Clubhouse. Yeah.
Twitter, right? So I wasn't even over there with y'all. I missed all of that. When I got here to Twitter Spaces, it was already an uproar. Like people were they were crazy. And I wasn't even hitting the stage there. I'm just in these spaces listening like what the hell is going on? All of you Negroes are black. Now this is me. Now I have an understanding, okay, this is what happened. But you got to realize, and also too, we have to realize too, even though we are black Americans, we have different cultures where we live at. What I mean by that, in Chicago, you will find that we really don't give a damn about what type of black you are. We know for the most part. We know that we are black Americans, and we can tell if you're a Nigerian. We can tell if you're Haitian. Our parents. We grew up with our parents. Going to the Africans to get their hair braided. Right. We knew all of that. Hell, for God's sakes, my aunt, I have aunt, and it's not just her. You have people who are wear Jamaican apparel, Haitian apparel. They're big on dashikis up here, right? Because again, how we grew up here is a sense of Afrocentric black unity, no matter who you are. That's how I grew up. See, and you can't totally take that away from me because that's how I grew up. That's not to say I don't understand, you know, our relevance as Black Americans in the United States, because I do. I've studied us as well as the rest of you all in this room. I know what we did. Hell, if you ask me, I think we are, and I'm joking. I'm joking when I say this. I think we are the best group of Black people on this earth, right? Because I know what we did. I know the struggle. I know what we've added to this globe. But at the same time, for me, I'm not gonna totally disparage the next black person wherever they from. I'm not saying that they don't say no horrendous shit. Again, I've been in the rooms. I got here when it was total chaos. African rooms, you got black Americans have rooms, and everybody's just screaming at each other and blah. I saw all of that, but at the same time, I was able to what they say, eat the meat, spit out the bone. I was able to do that. That's just always been me. And we did, like you say, we did pave the way for them to come here. Our grandparents did. No doubt about that. We've paved the way for them to come here. We did that. Right? So anybody who's coming here disrespecting us, I'm not for it, just like you not for it. And I will say something about it. I have before. I hit a couple of stages and said something about it. Because we did do that. But at the same time, I think once we get caught up in that, we we the progress is being slowed up. We kicking the can down the road at that point. That's just me because I feel like it's so much more work to be done in our communities where we don't have time to be trying to be arguing and bickering over a lot of this shit is just stupid if you ask me. But this is just me. I feel like we wasting time. We got a whole lot of shit we trying to get done. You got folks, they moving toward reparations. You got people talking about, education. That would be me. You got people, talking about businesses now and buying homes and building wealth and equity. We got a whole lot of shit that we should be doing like right now today, but I feel like we just focus on some of the wrong things. And if you're going to say, all right, these Africans and Caribbeans and whoever they're coming here and taking this, and now, Well, what are we about to do about that? Because being on Twitter and bickering and going back and forth and seeing who can, run the person down the best, that ain't doing too much for us. You just coming here every day to run an African or somebody down, and then what? What happens after that? So when we talk about the flat blackness, no, I don't have a problem with it because to me, what's understood don't need to be said. Right? I can understand that I'm a
No, but
black
that's the
American.
problem. As a lot of people don't
Go ahead.
understand that though.
But I'm talking about me now, how I understand it.
Yes, I
Right?
understand.
But
That's
you gotta
cool.
understand again how I came into this whole thing. I wasn't here at the beginning. I came in when all hell was breaking loose.
Well, this is the problem though. So you see it and you're still trying to pretend as if it's not a problem.
Well, no, you got to understand. This was both black Americans and other black people around the globe. All of them were participating in it. So I'm not gonna say, oh, it
In
was just
what?
them. I'm
In what?
saying, say that
Participating in
again,
what? Participating in what?
in the chaos on this app.
All right.
But
No,
because
they
even
were
but and then I wanted to touch too on the scholarship. There are scholarships for Black Americans and African Americans specifically. It is. So
give them a minute.
my bad, I got a call.
I
All right.
hear it. I was about to say, oh, did it cut out?
But yeah, even with that, we do have scholarships, excuse me, for us. And I think it's a lot of people just, and this is what irritates me and makes me frustrated. Yeah, let's take what you just said for example. When they're coming over here, they're getting, whatever that we can't get. All right, cool. You prove that, cool. But it's some people, they don't even research. They don't read, they don't go seek out, or verify what somebody's saying. They just go with it. And a lot of times the shit is literally not true. And we have to come to that realization and be honest about it. What you're saying is not true, right? And so when a person like me, when I do that, now you're anti-black, you a tether, you're not from here, you hate black people, and all this other type. I'm like, what? No, what you're saying is literally not true. So
Okay. So you understood or understand what Dr. Claude Anderson had told us about what was going to happen to Black Americans by the year what 2015? Did
20,
you?
2050 something, he said.
2052.
No, 2015,
2052.
2052,
2052.
yep.
Okay, well, go ahead. You saw that video or that clip, or you know what his teachings were or what he said, Deshaun?
I think he said that we would be replaced demographically.
Absolute.
It's pretty much damn near here.
Yeah, it's pretty much
No,
damn near
no,
here. That's why I thought it was
it's
2015
yeah,
because
it's
it's
definitely
pretty
here.
much here.
About what, 25 more years?
So you saw it, right, Deshaun?
Say that again.
You heard of Dr. Claude
Yeah,
Anderson?
I heard him. Yeah, I know all about it.
So you believe what he said was true?
Uh, Not all the way, and I always push back on that. I don't. Or I will say, if we stop all the foolishness and fuck shit, we can stop whatever is coming in at 2052. That's 25 years from now. And if we
Hold
don't,
on, bro. You don't agree that like Hispanics will demographically have already demographically replaced us from being a small percentage of the population to being more than us? You don't agree with that?
well, in that part they already did it. Their population is higher than ours.
That's what I'm
Their
saying.
population, they already exceeded us. They've been exceeded us for the last how many years?
Just the last few years,
So
not too long. Just the
so
last few
what?
years,
So
maybe a
so
decade or so.
in knowing that, what are we prepared to do?
No, but I'm saying, what did you disagree with Dr. Claude Anderson about?
Because he talked about the net wealth. He talked about that too. Am I correct? Or am I getting him mixed up with
No,
somebody
no, you're
else?
right. You're right. You're right.
So what are we gonna do about that? We're gonna let it happen? And so with me, that particular statement, I don't agree with that.
And that's just me being honest. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I think he was talking about the trajectory though, and I think according to economists, that is.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that's a trajectory as well. Um, but this is the thing though, Deshaun. It's more than just words. I can, if I'm talking about specifically about words though, we can talk about how Akata has long existed for a derogatory word for us long before we woke up to seeing a lot of this in 2020. So you acknowledge that Akata's been around for a while, right?
So as I understood it, when the whole Okada thing was going on, I didn't even do that. I looked up, I researched what I was in research, and that was that. As I understood it, that was a term used over in Africa for other African people. I forgot who explained that to me. It was actually another uh African woman. I forgot her name on this app. Because I remember because I asked her to repeat it again in a space. And then you had some people, I mean, it was like five people that came up and said it meant this. No, it means this. It meant this. It meant this. But we got I just was like, okay, we'll take that one
I mean, we're not slow though. I hate this
with a with a with
idea
a with a grain
that
of
it
salt,
means.
because I've never heard it. Nobody has ever said that word to me, right? I've only heard that
I
word
mean,
on this
yeah,
app.
no one's saying it to our faces. They're
But I'm
saying
just
it
saying, so you
on
have to
social media.
understand if I've never heard the word and I've only heard it here, I'm like, oh, you know, I
But we
mean,
can look at
I
dates.
don't know what to do with that if I'm just only hearing it on the app, and then I got five, six definition of what the word is
But it's
and
never
how
in
it's
the
used
context is
and
never
why it's
good though.
used. That's
But
what I'm saying. The context.
the context is never good. That's the problem.
But
It's never
see
in good
that,
faith.
but then you had some people that came up and said, "Well, no, a Carter meant this. It wasn't used as a bad derogatory. It was."
I
That's
mean,
why I just
yeah,
left it
but I
alone.
think
Right.
I think
I think
Go
let
ahead.
because
me say
I
this.
feel like we getting caught up in semantics, right? No matter what the word means, because like
Well,
as
it
people
it
just
can't
said
be
already,
semantics if one person said that it's not a
that and
bad
that's
word,
and
and
that's
then
the
the other. No,
and
hold
that's the
on.
thing though.
Wait. It can't be semantics if these three people said, "Oh no, it's not a bad word. They use for this," and then the next
Oh,
three
okay.
people
Hold
So
on.
said,
I'm saying
Hold
we
on,
have
TK.
to
Let me say, hold
acknowledge.
on.
Like I
Let me
really
say this.
don't care. I don't really care about the word, right? But
"Yeah,"
what we
because
have to
me neither,
acknowledge
because
is right.
nobody's ever called me an Akata.
Hold on,
I'm
hold on,
saying, bro, we
TK.
have
Let me
to
say this real quick.
acknowledge,
Hold on, let me say
bro.
this real quick, bro. I mean, I think again, we don't even live in the same. Again, if you're gonna be interacting with Africa, you need to understand Africans. And to be honest with you, bro, Africa is a dangerous ass continent, bro. It is dangerous as hell. Have you been to Africa or studied it in depth?
I've studied. I've never been
Bro,
studied
again, if you're gonna,
several times.
and I want Marat to catch me up on exactly what's going on. But again, if you're gonna be interacting with these groups of people and then groups of people, because Africa is very diverse, right, bro? You gotta understand the inherent danger in interacting with these different peoples. It, you saying, I don't know what it means. I never. They said it mean this. They said it mean that, bro. You better know what it means, regardless of what they tell you. You better know what it means if you're dealing with these people, because they will kill you. These people will
And that's
kill
what
you.
I'm saying, right? That's what I'm trying to say, right? Hassan, right? Like, bro, we don't even understand or comprehend majority of these so-called Africans or whatever that we think we interact with or whatever, like these Nigerians that you say the word comes from, right? Like most of them ain't even born like in they homelands or whatever. So, and a lot of them be like Ebos and shit. So the thing is, you might being when you talk about all these different definitions and the semantics and the different meanings of the word or whatever. Like, I don't really give a fuck about the word, but these different tribes of these Nigerians that do take the word, they put their own twist and turn on it and say what it means to mean something else. But when you say the word comes from the Yorubas or whatever, I mean, it is what it is. I really don't give a fuck. But like as Ramo saying, yeah, these people are just dangerous anyway. Like I don't really give a fuck about the word. I'm not a Pan Africanist, and I never really cared about like thinking that just because you was an African or you shared the same skin complexion as me, that I had anything in common with you and you had my best interests. It's just I don't really know. But Morocco, you was Pan African. I know you up in Philly or whatever.
No, I say that as a joke to a certain degree. I say I was Pan African at one point because of this very fact that um I do believe in a global success story for melanated people globally as well. So I still
I
believe
don't
that.
know.
I know, I know,
I'm
I know,
just,
I know how you feel.
bro. I'm just saying again. I don't know exactly what the
That,
best
that,
success.
that shit real because Africans don't even want your ass in the so-called success story. So okay,
Hold
they
on,
don't
bro.
even want other Africans
Well,
in that.
you
Hold on.
can't say that.
Let
You
me say
can't
this. Let
say
me say
that
this right quick.
either. When
I don't.
No,
Hold
I
on.
definitely can. No, I can say that because history shows it. Even today, it shows it.
so
So
why do we?
Hold on, bro. I just want to say this right quick. I don't know exactly what your perspective is. I'd like to hear it. But, bro, if you going to interact with Africans, you better be speaking 2 or 3 or 4 African languages. Like I said, they will kill you. Like, this is a dangerous continent with a lot
he
of
don't know
stuff
nothing.
going on. You better know what's going on and not say, oh, well, I don't know what it means. I heard. So, Pete, they said it mean this, and they said, or you better know for sure.
Yeah,
He
I think
don't.
y'all should have been here at the beginning of the conversation when I explained all this. No, I've never been to Africa, and what I explained to Marco is getting on this app. You know how it is. People kind of push you into these different groups and corners. I've never said out of my mouth that I was a Pan African. I said I like the idea of it. That's what I said. I said that does not mean that I stop the work right here that I do in my community and go through leaps and bounds and try to go over to Africa and help them when my own backyard is on fire. I do believe in global unity. It's just that Pan Africanism is literally it help like a global movement.
So you agree with global? You want
It's
global
a
unity
it,
with
that it,
Morocco?
but
Hold on.
it,
Let me ask you.
go
You
ahead.
want global unity with Moroccans and Algerians too?
I want global unity with anyone who wants unity with me. See, what you're doing is you're taking out one specific group of people and saying this is what they do. They'll kill you. And that's not. I'll be a fool to say, "Come be my friend," even though I know you're gonna chop my damn head off. No,
No.
that's not what
What
that
I was
means.
saying, is, if you don't know these specific peoples, you don't know who might be a threat to you. But so you want unity with like Chinese people and Koreans too?
No, no, no. See, you moving the conversation. That's
No,
not what I'm
I'm just
saying.
asking.
You
I'm
said
just asking.
global
No, no, no,
unity.
no,
I'm
You
no,
just
no,
said
no,
asking.
global
no,
unity.
no, 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 no. Because what you're trying to do is take what I said and take it in a different direction. That's just like saying shit, having asking me, do I want unity with fucking black people here that's gonna cut my head off and shoot me, do whatever who mean me no good. No, we know exactly what I mean on the surface.
I don't.
Well, it's okay.
No,
So now
no,
I'm at
brother,
now.
brother.
That global unity shit get taken out of
Well,
hold on, brother.
so
context.
I had just hold on. I just
and here's
my bad, bro. I just came in, so I'm trying to get some clarity of what your stance is. So, do you want global unity with like Moroccans and Algerians too, and Libyans, like North Africans?
I want unity with anybody who's going to unify with me. If you gonna unify with me, I'm gonna unify with you. If you're gonna disrespect me, I'm gonna disrespect you. I don't think this is hard, right? Because we
So you would
all
unify with a Chinese person that
hold
respects you? I'm just
on.
asking.
But
I'm
we're
just
talking
asking your
about we're
perspective.
not talking about Chinese right now. We're talking about
No,
Pan
I'm trying to
Africanism.
see who I need to know who we talking about
No,
specifically.
we're talking about Pan Africanism right now, not the
Right.
Chinese.
So you will unite with a Moroccan,
I'm
a,
going to
a,
I'm going
a
to unify with anybody who wants to unify with me. If you
but you
don't,
just said you wouldn't unify
it
with a Chinese person.
we're not even talking about the Chinese right now.
Hold on, brother. Again, I can't. I just came in, so I'm trying to get with your stance. So you just strictly talking about Africans, right?
We're
Africans and
talking
Caribbean.
about Pan Africans and Solons. That's why he made the space.
So okay,
That's
so
all we
you
talking about right now. We're not even
all
talking
right,
about
bro. So
Chinese
I'm
people.
asking
You,
you
I
would
have
unify
no
with.
interest in talking about
Hold on, bro. I'm
Chinese
asking you.
people.
You would unify. Hold on. You would unify with the Moroccan or an Algerian, right? If they would unify with you, I'm just asking.
What about the Egyptians?
Yeah, Moroccans, Algerians, Egyptians. You would.
If they want to unify with me, I will unify with them.
Okay, cool. I'm just asking.
This had nothing to do with Chinese people, whatever.
No, I get it.
All for the sake of global unity and taking down white supremacy, which is essentially what Pan Africanism is when you research it. Now, again, what I was telling Marco, now Marcus Garvey and a couple of more, they say, you Negroes, we're gonna move you to Africa. I don't agree with that. You can't append 40 million people
and move them to Africa to start a new life. That's not even that doesn't even make sense. That won't even work. That can't work,
It's so
right?
Marcus
you
Garvey
hold on, bro.
irrelevant.
But
He
So
irrelevant.
I'm not GK, but Deshaun, you know, it's Africans that identify as white. You know that, right? Like you cool unifying with them because you said bring
you
that white
know, with
supremacy.
okay, let me get more
Yeah,
specific.
go ahead, go ahead.
People of African descent of African descent that looks like me.
But
Again, I
that,
explained all this in the beginning. I know there's white people that identify as African. Hell, the whole fucking continent was colonized. What, 80 some plus percent?
hold on, bro. But you just said 20 seconds ago.
But
Hold
we
on,
know. But
Let me say
see,
this. Let me say this.
you're trying to change my argument. You know I ain't
No,
talking
bro.
about no damn
I'm
white
trying to
people. Come
understand
on,
what
bro.
I'm trying to
You
get your
know I ain't talking
perspective.
about no white people.
You said
Bro,
African.
You
hold
know
on.
I
You
ain't talking
just said,
about no white people. Y'all.
Marat, my apologies from you in the space, Deshaun. You just said you would unify with Algerians. Algerians are not black. A lot of they identify as white. Moroccans are not black. You just said that. You said you would unify with Egyptians. Egyptians are not
Uh,
black.
all first of all, we already know what happened in Egypt, how those people turn. But in Algeria and Morocco, all of those people are not white people, bro. Come on, stop.
That,
You know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is what happens when we get in these types of conversations,
bro,
right?
what percent?
What about
No,
Sudanese?
hold on, GK, hold on, Deshaun. What percentage of Morocco is black?
I'm getting ready to tell you right now. Let me look it up. Hold on.
What about Sudanese?
But you talking about what, 1% of the population?
For clarity though, so I did say I do believe in or wanted to believe in the idea of like a global black success story. The problem is, and the difference is between me and Deshaun is that mine's is steeped in fantasy. I don't think it's ever going to be a reality, and his is steeped in some type of reality he thinks is actually going to happen. At this standpoint, with the global melanated collective, it's not a reality, and that's the difference we have here, and what we're trying to decipher here between Solon and Pan Africans.
But Marat, you just because you're saying two different things, right? He's saying Pan Africanism, and you saying global blackness or melanated people, whatever, right? Pan Africanism includes non-black Africans like Moroccans and Egyptians and Tunisians that identify as white. So I mean, again,
Yeah, sort of a yeah.
I don't,
I get what you're
I
saying.
don't understand how. I mean, I think again, I think a lot of people are trying to, again, they trying to quote unquote unify, and again, they're not even specifying what they mean when they say that, right? But they trying to unify with people that they don't on a continent they don't even understand.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems with Pan Africanism. Solon, do want to get you to speak, but new Negro Republic, did you have a new perspective?
Yeah, peace and love. Peace and love. I'm about to throw some in the Jumbotron. Well, not in the Jumbotron. I put it in the comments. This kind of working concept that I have when it comes to modern day Pan Africanism and like this establishment democrat. I don't necessarily see when I like get into my history bag and just try to look up and learn shit, right? So when I look up Marcus Garvey's intentions and his Pan African agenda in the 1920s, it seems to me from the perspective like how the state of Israel was established, right? Where black people globally don't have, well, more so the ones who are a part of the victimhood of the transatlantic slave trade, right? So the people who were sent to Africa, I mean sent to the Caribbean, South America, and America are displaced, right? Similar to the scattered Jews concept and that whole thing of trying to make Liberia or some part of the western tip of Africa to be a nation state. And it seemed to make sense with him based on the history of the American Colonization Society. But one thing that I know when I look into the readings of Garvey and the stuff that he was focused on, it was purely political and economic, right? It was about controlling industry, controlling resources, and having a central black hub on an international stage where we didn't have to rely on white folk for the shit that we need. That to me is completely different than the post civil rights Pan Africanism that is culture pride, black culture, all about performances, dance. They get into the intellectual stuff and want to Africanize everything, but there's not really a radical aspect to it when it comes to, like, I call them establishment Pan Africans, right? Where everything with them is more identity, intellectualism, and culture, and not let's control industries, let's build out a Black Star Line. We're not just sending people to Africa, but we're sending resources triangulate from Africa to America to the Caribbean. And when I looked up what Garvey was trying to do, that's what he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to tell niggas put on dashikis and learn like his like national anthem. He like had a high reverence for Haile Selassie. So I feel he was more like the Rastafarian. I almost feel like some of what I get from when I look some of his stuff up, it almost felt like he might have been like on some Hebrew Israelite shit. I feel like some of it seems like a biblical aspect. And the last part about it that's a little different to me is when I look at how he was deported with the FBI, like the Jews conspired against him as well, and they got the boule, like the elite blacks at the time, who was focusing more on Harlem Renaissance and elements of fighting towards civil rights and integration in the 1930s, around, not well, by the 1930 time came with the New Deal. But it just seems that what I don't see today from Pan Africans is the focus of economic and political independence, right? I don't see them moving like the Republic of New Africa was moving in the 70s and 80s, who was trying to turn a whole black belt into a black nation in America on some, we want this whole southern states, these is our states, we want to be an independent nation. I don't see these establishment Pan Africans or what we would consider Pan Africans today pushing that agenda. It seems more just like black people just trying to chill, pop shit, and get along, but not really do anything to control. So I don't consider it like, I think it's right. I think the Garvey vision probably just been co-opted and watered down to be way more passive than radical. And there are radical Pan Africans, but I don't think that they are what we see when it comes to these more intellectual, democratic leaning folk. I'm leaning.
Yeah, Maroc, he's right about that. These people don't even fit the description of Pan Africanism. They're not talking about doing anything governmentally. They're not talking about getting into certain industries. They're not talking about trade or anything like that. They're not talking about paving roads and building architecture and infrastructure and irrigation, nothing like that. And power plants. No, these are, it's basically like a black support group, like a support circle. Like, we want to, we want to coddle each other emotionally. We want to be with each other and make each other feel good. That's all it is. It's like a friend group, like a black international black friend group. That's all.
I agree with that. Solon, Dwayne, you got something to add or not? I know he was a little bit busy. I heard a lot of his background, but yeah, Deshaun, it was really just about you know, getting your perspective. Less to do with words being said, more to do with action. Um, the actions in which I try to lay out that are directly being done or pushed towards us, or lack thereof in those actions, um, or the ones that Aromo pointed out, or even New Negro Republic. We even have even in comparison to us, right? We have immigrant groups coming in, and they'll set up shop and make business, which is fine. I'm all for that. That's fine. The problem is that the difference between us setting up shop and making businesses that are successful, we give back to our communities. They don't give back to our communities. The same communities that are supporting them and paying out of pocket for them to keep their businesses afloat. I'm sure you can name some in Chicago. I could name some right here in Philly. Halal Fusion, um, Black American Chinese store over here. They're doing a lot of donations. Sawed and her Southern Cooking does a lot of donations to the community. There's a lot of community efforts being pushed for us to help us and engage with us. The same people who are keeping you afloat and keeping you relevant. We are helping each other. You don't see that with immigrant groups coming in. It's all about self, unfortunately. And that's what I have observed. That's what a couple of people have observed. And I'm sure you have observed them as well if you are keeping it in 100 here. So, is there last few things you wanted to get off before
No,
we ended up this piece?
listen. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. If you're not doing it, you're just not doing it, right? But I do want to point out uh, something that Talent just said, and even and this is addressing the Pan Africanist. If you're not thinking about, you know, the economic aspect of 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 unifying around the globe, I think we do have a problem, right? And I said it in the beginning when it was just me and you. That's what I'm focused on: fixing and moving forward our communities here in my backyard. You do it in Philly, I do it in Chicago, New Negro do it in New York, and then we build from there, right? A lot of people, and I don't say this a lot, I'm a very do for self person. I don't really say that a lot on this app for whatever reason. Because I know in my mind nobody else is coming to do it for us. We see it all the time, right? And so if you are Pan Africanist and you don't have that mindset, I'm sorry, I do have a problem with you. That is a problem because we've seen what historically what happens with our people here in the United States. Time and time and time and time again. And so, like I told y'all earlier, if you just kicking the can down the road with nonsense, yeah, I have a problem with you.
All right, absolute. And I do want to wrap this up because I do want to check out see what the hell Tariq talking about. But shout out to Solon Cooper, another bull up in here, do a lot of Solon stuff. Deshaun again, thank you for coming by. Jubilee, I see you. And having a great conversation with us. I follow you back as well. Peace, power, and lineage based reparations.